Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Watson and I am owner CEO of VW Tax and Accounting Service. So I am doing this video today because there's so many things that has come out regarding the stimulus package and I get a lot of questions in my inbox. So I thought that I'd just make a quick video and let you guys know let you guys know from me or let you hear from me, because sometimes it's better whenever it's explained what's going on with the stimulus check. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to cover today, and that's when the stimulus checks are going to come out, the amounts of the stimulus checks and their phase out amounts, who qualifies for the stimulus checks, and then what's to come after that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First, we'll talk about the stimulus check. So I put this post up as quickly as I saw it. When I received the alert from the IRS yesterday, approximately 6 o'clock last night, the stimulus checks were issued. The stimulus checks began to go out last night. Now, the bill that the president signed was for the $600. Now, they are still working on the $2,000 checks. And it's been passed by the House, but it still needs to get past the Senate. Okay, so this may be a bit of a challenge, but I'm glad that they went ahead and they issued the $600 checks so that people have something while we're waiting. So who gets the $600 checks? Every adult and every dependent under the age of 18. It does not matter if your dependent is disabled. It doesn't matter if if they're seniors. Only those that are under 18 years old will receive the $600 payment. So whoever you claimed on your tax return, including yourself, will receive a payment for the amount of $600, and every dependent under 18 you will receive an additional $600 for them. Okay. All right. Now, they went out direct deposit as of last night. Now, last night, or if you woke up this morning and it wasn't in your bank account, it does not mean that you will not get a stimulus check, okay? That just means that you were not in the first round of those that the stimulus checks were issued to. They will be issuing more stimulus checks next week via direct deposit. They are also mailing out paper stimulus checks for those that did not have direct deposit information on file with the IRS. They will be mailing out those paper checks today. Okay, so today, December 30th, 2020, paper checks will go out to those folks. Okay, so keep an eye out for them. Allow it 7 to 10 days. It may be a little longer because everything has just been absolutely crazy and mail has been a little slow, especially for those. I'm in the Chicago area, so especially those that's in the Chicagoland area, mail has been backed up like crazy. Okay, how to update your address. So you say, well, Vicki, the address the IRS had on file for me last, I'm not there anymore. And they don't have direct deposit details. Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. Call the IRS. You can call them at 1-800-829-1040. Now, be prepared for a wait because there's long, massive wait times. And I would know because I was on hold with them. I spent probably 2 or 3 days on hold with them, not in its entirety, but total, week before last. So be prepared to wait, but call that number, 1-800-829-1040. Ask that they update your address. Now, they are going to attempt to mail it to the address if that's all that they have on file and you were in that first round of those stimulus checks that went out today. It's going to go to that bad address, okay? Usually, addresses are not updated until the time that you file your tax return. And at the time that you file your tax return, they use that address that's on your tax return and they'll update your file that way. But since usually we had no idea that this was going to happen, there was no way that you would call in and say, hey, update my address. Most people, some do. So if you have a bad address on file, call them immediately. They are going to attempt to deliver it to that first address because that's all that they have. It's going to be rejected back to the IRS, and they will notice that there's been an address that's been updated, and then they'll resend it to you. So it may take you a few weeks. I'm sorry. Same thing with bad direct deposit or incorrect direct deposit details. If you no longer have the direct deposit information that was on your tax return or where your last stimulus check had gone to, there isn't anything that you can do about it. There isn't a way online that you can update those details. And it's not just for stimulus purposes. It's also for tax refunds in the future. You cannot, once your tax return or your tax preparer submits your tax return electronically, and those direct deposit details are in there, even if we make a mistake. And I've done that. Even if we make a mistake, those direct deposit details cannot be updated online. They're going to make the attempt to send it to the bank. The bank is going to reject it, and then IRS is then going to mail you a paper check. It'll then be what we call flipped to a paper check. Okay. So again, for you that are waiting, and I know everyone needs their money, there isn't a way to update it or to expedite it. So don't call IRS asking. I mean, you can, but they're going to tell you the same thing that I'm telling you now. You're just going to have to wait, get the information updated, and then they'll, allow the system to work. It's going to get sent to your bank account. It's going to come back. They'll issue you a paper check. Just let it work. Okay. All right. So who are dependents? Dependents would be anyone that you take care of, right? That you provide at least half of their support. If you put an adult on your tax return, you will not, obviously, because they're over 18, you will not receive a payment for them. Neither would they receive a payment. So they may receive some sort of benefit or another, and usually they will get a payment out. But if they were claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, yours or someone else's, unfortunately, they will not receive a stimulus payment. They won't get one, period, not through you because they're too old, and they won't get one on of their own because they did not file their own tax return. And even if they were not eligible to file a tax return earlier in the year, IRS had this tool out called the non-filer tool. They could have gone out there if they didn't have a filing requirement, filled out that form, waited for it to be accepted, and then they would have, gotten their stimulus check the first go round. Same thing applies here. They won't receive one. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm sorry to break the bad news, and they may be expecting it, but if they were claimed on someone's tax return as a dependent, they will not receive a stimulus payment. Okay. All right. So all isn't lost for those who may not have received their first round of stimulus payments. I have a girlfriend of mine who's working with some clients of hers who still have not received their stimulus payments, or either they got the wrong amount. They didn't get everything that they were due. All isn't lost. Okay. The stimulus payments were actually a credit that they gave us in advance on our 2020 tax return. So they gave it to us in 2020, but we don't file our 2020 tax return until January, right? We have to let 2020 end. So what they can do is on your 2020 tax return, the tax preparer or themselves, if they're preparing their own taxes, they will claim what you would call a recovery rebate credit. This recovery rebate credit would be for the amount of the entire stimulus payment if they didn't get one at all, or it would be for the amount in which they were short. So say, for instance, if you received your payment, now the first round were $1,200, right? And $500 for each dependent child. If you had yourself as an adult, that's $1,200, one kid, that's $500, and another kid, that's $1,000. So you should have received $2,200 total, right? If the IRS for some reason only gave you a $1,700 payment, leaving off one of your dependents, keep that letter that was sent to you. Now, the letter came out from the president. We all received one. Hopefully you kept it, especially if your payment wasn't for the right amount. Keep that letter. Take that with you at the time that you file your tax return. You claim that recovery rebate credit. And that's the way that you will get the additional payment or get your payment overall. Okay. So there was some guidance that came out around this stating if you did not receive your stimulus payment and you had a tax debt, your tax debt will be reduced by the amount of your payment. The stimulus payment or the recovery rebate credit in this instance is a refundable credit. That refundable credit will be reduced by any outstanding debt that you owe. So that means you won't get the entire amount if you have a balance, okay? Even if you have a balance on the prior year, that refund will be offset to pay any tax debts that you owe. Now, had you got it the first time around, that wouldn't have been the case. Everyone was getting it. But claiming it as a credit on your tax return versus a separate payment, this is making room for your credit or your refund to be offset to any tax debt or any outstanding liabilities that you may have. Okay. So I know that's not the best news. Those are the facts. That's the way that it is. So if there's a time to where you say, oh my God, I haven't received my payment, well, that's the reason why you didn't get it. Okay. Now, if you don't know whether or not you have an outstanding debt, IRS normally sends out a letter to you September, the fall of the prior year before it's time to file your tax return. So there's no surprise that you have an outstanding federal or state debt that is then with the Bureau of Fiscal Services. If you don't know, there's another way to find out, and you can call the Bureau of Fiscal Services, and I will post that number. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but I will post the number below the video in the description. Okay. So that's another thing. The Get My Payment tool on the IRS website is no longer available. First go round when the stimulus payments came out, that tool was out there. You were able to go log in, put in your social security number in that, and find out when your payment is going to come. It's offline now. So is the non-filer report, and so is the direct deposit details. You were also able to update that. Those tools are no longer available on the IRS website. We're just working with what we have right now, and that's with the address and the direct deposit details that are currently on file with the IRS. There's no way for us to check the status of our stimulus checks, and there is no way to find to update our details. Okay. All right. All right, so I think that just about covers everything. If you have questions that I have not covered, please don't hesitate to send me an inbox or to ask the question below. I'm positive you're not the only person in the world that's in the situation or that wants to know what the answer to your question. So please post it below. I will respond to you as quickly as possible. This is just one of several videos. I wanted to break them up because I didn't want to do one long video talking about other things. Now, what's coming up next are for the small business owners, gig workers, the self-employed individuals, the entrepreneurs. I will be going over the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. There have been massive changes to that, and it's really working out in our favor. I'll also talk about the SBA EIDL, which is the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan. Those have changed too. Okay, so that's coming back out again. We are expecting for the SBA to give us an update on what to do or what moves to make next within the next 14 days. Okay, so please stay tuned. Please share my videos. I have my YouTube channel, which is Numberlady08, Numberladi08. If you haven't done so already, please like my Facebook page, VW Tax and Accounting Service, and I am on Instagram at VW Accounting Service. I put out some valuable information. I mean, there's so much to know when it comes down to taxes, and you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the tax breaks, the loans that you may qualify for, the latest and greatest information on stimulus updates. I spend a lot of time in tax law reading the bills and keeping up to date with what's happening. So you don't want to miss out on this information that I'm sharing with you for absolutely no charge. Okay. And of course, I am taking clients. So if you have some back tax issues, or if you need someone, you're looking on the market for a new preparer or a new accountant, I'm available. Okay. So check out my website also at vwaccountingservice.com. Under my book online or under my book me tab, there are all the services that I provide. There's a laundry list of them. Okay. All right. So thank you so much. I wish you a very merry new year, or very happy new year, with peace, love, and gratitude. Okay. Take care, and I'll chat with you soon. All right. Bye-bye.